So, building on what Stella's been talking about, she's obviously been sort of talking us through specifically in Vivo and like the sort of what she's been doing with it in her sort of particular project and that kind of thing. But like, I'm going to take a punt here. This went down like a lead balloon in Loughborough. Who here is working with like audio or video materials in their research? Okay, that's a positive result. Because
creative over here, I think.
yes. But I say that because I'm going to talk you through some of the other kinds of software that are available that when you're particularly working with those kinds of materials. But also they do have functions that are if you're working in other ways. But anyway, so basically when you've got large amounts of audio or video material, you've got to do something with it. Like, if you've only got a couple of cases, like say for my PhD, I analysed 6 minutes of video. I didn't need any complicated software, I didn't need any sort of expensive software or all that kind of any high-tech gear to help me analyse 6 minutes and to manage it quite easily and quite neatly. It's quite straightforward. However, when you work on projects with like video, you've got 40 videos and they last about an hour and then all that kind of stuff, you need to start ramping up and think about how can I manage this stuff and it's just as a way, and partly in a way to help you work through and organise your project in the first instance before you even think about what am I going to do with what am I going to find, what kind of graphics am I going to have and all that kind of stuff. You just need a basic way of working with those materials. Now I'm going to talk through a sort of series of software that's available. I make a link here to like there's courses that's run by the sociology department in Guildford that are really cheap to go on, and they cover a lot of qualitative softwares that are available, and I've been on a couple of them. They're pretty good. Okay, so I'm just going to talk you through some of these and sort of explain their basic functions. Now, the thing about software, before you get excited about software, this is going to solve all my analytical research problems, and I'm going to get some great graphs and all that stuff. When I was in Cardiff, I had medical students on research placements, and they thought that's what the software was for. So the first day they're like, teach me the software, I'll use the software, that'll do all the analysis. But without thinking about, actually, you have to tell the software what to do, what to look for, how you're categorising things, what you're looking for, all that stuff. It's you that's doing, that's the analysis. The software's just helping you through that process. Okay, so let's look at a few of the software that's available. One that I've used before a bit in Cardiff is called Atlas TI. It apparently has a video function, but I've always understood it more if you have working with audio data, particularly like focus groups and sort of interview kind of data. And like Atlas TI, basically you get your transcript of your interview, say, and then you basically go across, you highlight the bit of text that's of interest, you say this is about punctuality or whatever it is you're talking about. And then you highlight it, you create all these codes, and therefore you can see in relation to the aspect of the text, it tells you what's going on in different places, what's in the data. Okay. In Vivo, which we've talked about already, but like there's also you can use video in that, and in the same way, they all pretty much work in pretty much the same way. If you see that the way that the code relates to the timing, so you've got codings of the different things that you're interested in that you're finding. And again, most of these are pretty much manual, where you have to sort of tell it where this thing starts and finishes. And again, it's all to do with how you highlight the text and that kind of stuff. Okay, this is a free one called Elan, and the data's not in English in this example, but basically this is when you're particularly if you're interested in the detail of conversation and how it works and the timings of who's talking at the same time. So you've got all of the sound waves, you've got these different codings taking place at different times, you've got this sort of speech wave and that kind of stuff, and it enables you, and this is even clearer, like you can break it down to different things that are going on at really micro times in relation to the video and sort of the timeline and all that kind of stuff, which is particularly useful if you are interested in the close detail. Now this is an example of a piece of software that's incredibly expensive that none of us will probably ever use. But this is kind of like the gold. This is what you'd really like to use. This is called something that's called Studio Code. And again, you can see it works in the same way. You've got your video, you've got here's your categories and stuff like that, and that obviously the colours match up with the timeline on the bottom. And here's when different things are happening here and stuff like that. And this is incredibly expensive. It's Mac only, so the rest of the world sort of cries at night. And all that kind of stuff. But this thing enables you with an iPad to actually do the analysis in real time. So if you're doing a video recording, you have your iPad, you go, as you're watching it, you can spot things as you're going along. And that obviously helps you having to go, so you don't have to go back and watch the whole of the video to go and find what's interesting to you. And this is, again, and this is that kind of thing. Well, these things would be on your keypad, and when something happens during the lecture or the surgery or whatever you're interested in, you press the button and you can do all that kind of stuff. Okay, the one I use because it's cheap is called Transana, and basically you have to do everything manually, unlike Studio Code. But this again, like all of the software is pretty much the same. In the top corner, obviously you've got your video. Down here is the transcript of the piece. At the top is the audio wave, and underneath you can see where I've done some keywording and stuff like that. And then the thing that's important, and in terms of what we're talking about now really, this bottom corner is where you manage all of your data. So when I'm looking at something, a particular feature, because I'm looking at a dementia clinic at the moment, so certain things that are diagnostically relevant, I have categories for, and I create from here, I can again highlight, copy it across, and it creates a video clip straight away, in which I all sort of name and label and all of that kind of stuff. But within that, you can always, with this kind of software, you can add notes to it. So like for me, I use that when I've got great relevant literature and reading and stuff. With particular features that I'm looking at, you can put in all your extra notes about that, and it helps you manage a project rather than, it's not just about managing the video at that point. You can manage your notes, you can manage your observations and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So that's how you do it. That's the notes features here. You can add them. So I've got diagnostic notes because that's interesting to me. And also this is where you can do your keywording as you go along as well. Okay.